Hello, my name is Genevieve, and I am here to read a story with you today about will, the power of will. That is kind of like, will you do something or won't you? We have choices within our life, and our will helps us get things done that we chose. So, our affirmation for the day is I find within myself the power to do what is right. Did you say that with me? I find within myself the power to do what is right. And we have a beautiful story today about a very powerful woman. Her name is Harriet Tubman. So I'm going to read you this story, and then we'll see kind of if you have someone nearby who you can chat with about it, or maybe you can even leave comments somewhere about what you thought. So I want you to be listening, though, as you hear this story, listening for her power, for will, okay? In the year 1820, almost all Black people in the United States were slaves. Slaves had no rights. They were owned by another person and had no choices about their lives. Harriet Tubman, who was born to parents who were slaves, and that meant that Harriet was a slave too. She was enslaved. Harriet's mother and father could not protect her from the cruelties of slavery, and she was forced to work hard from a very young age. She took care of babies and did work in the house and out in the fields. Even as a little child, she was sent out in the winter to check muskrat traps. Muskrats are large rodents that live in underwater dens and were trapped for their fur, and Harriet had to walk in waist-deep, freezing water to retrieve dead muskrats. Although she never learned to read or write, Harriet was incredibly smart and was always listening, watching, and learning. She was never enslaved in her heart and never accepted that she was unworthy because she was Black or because she was a girl. She learned to pad herself with extra clothing for protection during frequent beatings. When Harriet was about 11 years old, she boldly refused an order from a white man to help stop his runaway slave. Instead, she stood back and let the enslaved man run by her. The man angrily threw a heavy metal weight after the runaway, and as it hit Harriet in the head, the weight broke her skull and almost killed her. But unfortunately, this kind of cruelty to enslaved people was not uncommon, and Harriet wasn't even given medical care. She recovered, but she suffered for the rest of her life with pain, seizures, and blackouts as a result of that injury. She couldn't read, but she was told stories from the Bible, and Harriet had a deep inner life of prayer. She always tried to follow the guidance that she felt came from God, and everyone who knew her said she showed amazing inner strength and appeared to be fearless. After years of struggle and thinking about being free, Harriet heard she was to be sold and taken further south where freedom would be impossible to find. So she prayed and planned an escape. She took 2 of her brothers with her, but her brothers turned back. It was so frightening to be out in the dark woods, possibly getting lost, shot, or recaptured. Harriet didn't want to give up, but she went back with them. Then Harriet prayed and planned again. She wouldn't let anything stop her. The second time, she went alone, traveling almost 100 miles by herself to Pennsylvania, where Blacks were free. She could have stayed in Pennsylvania and lived a safe life, but Harriet felt she had to help others escape. So, instead of staying, she went back to the South, and she led others to freedom. She could have been caught or killed or sold or taken far away, but she went anyway. Harriet made 19 dangerous trips to the South and brought many of her family and friends, and even strangers, to a new life where they were no longer enslaved. Harriet used her courage and willpower to make the trips. There were rewards given to people who turned in runaway enslaved people, and anyone willing to help had to do so in secret. The people and secret places that were used to get slaves to freedom were called the Underground Railroad, and Harriet was called a conductor. Harriet often disguised herself as a man or an old person, and she wouldn't let anyone be caught. She gave babies medicine so they would sleep and not cry while they were hiding. If anyone wanted to give up and go back, she refused to let them go. Every trip was a double risk for Harriet because she had to travel to the people who wanted to help and then travel back to the north, travel to the people who wanted help and then travel back north with them. There were many angry slave owners who would have killed her for what she was doing. Yet, Harriet never gave up and never lost one passenger on her railroad. Her most important trip was going back to her former home and getting her parents to come home with her. They lived the rest of their lives in Canada, where they had the joy of knowing freedom. Harriet was a short, uneducated Black woman who lived during a time when Black people could be bought and sold, and women of any race had very few rights at all. She had a lifelong, debilitating illness that would have kept most people from even leaving their home. She was always poor and had to work hard every day just to survive. Yet during her long life of 93 years, she repeatedly proved that by applying willpower in the right direction with determination and an open heart, there are unlimited possibilities. Her determination to do what was right and help others was an inspiration to enslaved people and those who were free. It was an inspiration to women and men, and to those in the North and those in the South, to people of every race and color, and to all the generations that came after her. Wow. Even just reading that story, it's so clear that her willpower and her determination are, I can feel them now. Have you ever, let's imagine trying to walk through the woods at night with no flashlight. What would that feel like? Knowing that at any moment you could be caught and maybe even killed. So scary. And yet she walked on. Do you know anyone who's sort of like her? Can you think of anyone in your life who really is brave, really has this power to do what's right and to keep doing it even when it gets hard? I can think of some people in my life who really do have a lot of that ability. And it's so wonderful to watch them and to also remember that I can do that too. That I can have that power to do what's right. And so I want Harriet Tubman to remind us, and I want those people in our life to remind us that we all have the power to do what's right. Will you say it with me one more time? That's our affirmation. I have the power to do what is right. Let's say it and really mean it. I have the power to do what is right. Thank you for listening to this story and for letting Harriet Tubman teach us something today about the power of